If you've been online at all in the last few days, especially on YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok, you've probably seen the headlines flying around. People are talking about new Trump checks, surprise payments, dividends, or some kind of financial relief tied to statements from former President Donald Trump. For a lot of seniors, retirees, veterans, and families already stretching every dollar, this kind of news can feel equal parts hopeful and confusing. Some of you have told me you don't know what to believe anymore, because every video seems to say something different. That confusion is completely understandable, and that's exactly why we're slowing this down today and walking through what we actually know, what's being proposed, and what is not confirmed at this point. Right now, there is no officially approved stimulus check, relief payment, or guaranteed cash program that has been signed into law connected to Donald Trump. That's the most important thing to say clearly and upfront. At the same time, there are real conversations happening, real statements being made, and real political positioning that are fueling these rumors. So instead of brushing this off as nonsense or, on the other extreme, assuming checks are on the way, the goal here is to separate facts from speculation and give you grounded, honest guidance you can trust. What sparked this latest wave of talk are comments, interviews, and social media posts tied to Donald Trump and people close to his political circle. In recent months, Trump has publicly talked about inflation, high prices, and the financial pressure facing everyday Americans, especially seniors and working families. He has criticized the current administration's handling of the economy and has floated broad ideas about tax relief, economic stimulus, and putting more money back into Americans' pockets. These statements are often general, not detailed policy plans, but they travel fast online. When those comments get condensed into headlines or short clips, they can easily morph into "checks are coming" narratives, even when that's not what was actually said. Some of the speculation also comes from Trump's history. People remember the stimulus checks that went out during the pandemic while he was president. His name was literally printed on some of those payments, and that memory is still very fresh for millions of Americans. So whenever he talks about helping people financially or fixing the economy, it triggers that association. But it's important to remember that those pandemic checks were passed by Congress during a national emergency, with bipartisan support, and signed into law under very specific circumstances. That situation does not exist right now in the same way. Another source of confusion is campaign season language. As elections approach, politicians often talk in big-picture terms about what they would like to do if they regain power. That can include promises to lower taxes, cut regulations, or support certain groups like seniors or veterans. Those ideas are not the same thing as enacted policy. They are not funded programs. They are not payment schedules. Until something is proposed formally, debated in Congress, passed by both chambers, and signed into law, it remains just that: talk. So let's slow down and talk about eligibility, because this is where a lot of misinformation really takes off. You may have seen claims that seniors on Social Security will automatically get new checks, or that SSI and SSDI recipients are first in line, or that veterans will receive bonus payments. As of today, there is no confirmed eligibility list because there is no confirmed program. No income thresholds have been released. No age requirements have been announced. No categories like Social Security, SSI, SSDI, VA benefits, or SNAP have been officially named as recipients for a new payment tied to Trump. That doesn't mean those groups are being ignored in political discussions. In fact, seniors and low-income households are often at the center of economic conversations because they feel inflation the hardest. Fixed incomes don't stretch when grocery prices rise, when rent goes up, or when utility bills spike. Veterans relying on VA benefits face similar pressures. Families receiving SNAP are already operating close to the edge. These realities are frequently mentioned by politicians, including Trump, but mentioning a group and authorizing direct payments to that group are two very different things. A lot of viral posts are also blurring the line between tax policy and direct checks. Sometimes when you hear talk about money back or putting cash in your pocket, it may actually refer to tax cuts, credits, or changes to withholding, not a check mailed to your home or deposited into your bank account. For seniors who don't owe much in federal income taxes, those kinds of policies don't always result in noticeable cash. That's another reason it's so important not to assume that every mention of relief equals a check. Now let's talk honestly about where the money would come from, because this is a question many of you ask, and it's a smart one. Any nationwide payment program costs hundreds of billions of dollars. That money doesn't appear out of thin air. It requires congressional approval, budgeting, and often borrowing. Right now, Washington is already dealing with debates over deficits, spending limits, and funding existing programs like Social Security and Medicare. That doesn't mean new spending is impossible, but it does mean it faces serious hurdles. Any proposal for new checks would have to explain how it's paid for, and that explanation would be scrutinized heavily by both parties. It's also important to understand that Donald Trump at this moment does not have the authority to send out checks. He is not currently president. Even if he were elected again, he could not unilaterally issue payments without Congress. That's a key point that often gets lost in online conversations. Presidents can propose, advocate, and sign legislation, but they do not control the federal purse on their own. Congress holds that power. So what about timelines? This is another area where misinformation spreads fast. Some videos suggest checks are coming next month or before the holidays, or very soon. There is no official timeline because there is no official program. Even in the fastest scenarios during the pandemic, it took weeks or months for legislation to be passed and payments to be processed. Under normal circumstances, without an emergency declaration, the process is even slower. Anyone giving you a specific date right now is guessing or misleading you. What could happen, realistically, is continued political talk about economic relief as part of campaign messaging. If there were to be a major economic downturn, government shutdown, or national emergency, discussions about stimulus could resurface more seriously. If Trump were to win an election and take office, he could propose economic measures, but those would still need to move through Congress. All of that takes time, negotiation, and compromise. None of it is guaranteed. There is also a lot we simply don't know. We don't know whether any formal proposal will be introduced. We don't know whether Congress would support it. We don't know what form relief might take, whether direct payments, tax changes, or something else entirely. Being honest about those unknowns is part of respecting you as a viewer, not talking down to you or selling false hope. Now let's talk about what you should do right now, because even when news is uncertain, there are still smart steps to take. First, stay grounded in official sources. If something is real, you will see confirmation from government agencies like the Treasury Department, the IRS, the Social Security Administration, or official congressional announcements. It won't exist only on social media or YouTube thumbnails. Second, make sure your information is up to date with Social Security or VA if you receive benefits, not because checks are coming, but because accurate records are always important. You also need to be extremely careful about scams. Whenever rumors about checks spread, scammers move fast. They send texts, emails, and phone calls claiming you need to verify your information to receive a payment. They may ask for your Social Security number, bank details, or a fee. Government agencies do not contact you this way. They do not charge you to receive benefits. If someone pressures you or creates urgency, that's a red flag. Protect yourself and tell friends and family, especially seniors who may be more vulnerable. It's also okay to feel frustrated or tired of this cycle. Many of you are living on fixed incomes and watching prices rise month after month. Hearing constant talk about help that never seems to arrive can wear you down. Your feelings are valid. At the same time, the best defense is clear information and realistic expectations. Hope is important, but it should be anchored in facts. As of today, the bottom line is this: there are no confirmed new Trump checks, no approved eligibility rules, and no payment dates. There are political statements, campaign messaging, and online speculation. That doesn't mean relief is impossible in the future, but it does mean no one should be promising you money right now. Any channel or post that claims certainty is not being honest with you. My commitment here is to keep watching the official statements, the press briefings, and the actual policy moves, not just the headlines. If something changes, if a real proposal emerges, or if legislation starts moving, You'll hear it explained clearly and calmly, without hype. Until then, take a breath, protect yourself from scams, and focus on what you can control. If you've seen a claim about new checks that confused you or worried you, drop it in the comments so we can look at it together. And if you want ongoing updates explained in plain English, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what actually matters. You deserve information you can trust, especially when money and security are on the line.